Hello everyone! I'm so happy that you're here. If you don't know who I am, my name is Amanda Faye and I am the owner of my company, Healthy Amanda Faye, and I am a certified holistic health coach and a certified personal trainer. So I'm really excited that you're here today. We're going to be talking all about bone broth. So this is really going to be good for everyone. I bet you that I'm going to tell you probably something you have not heard before about bone broth. So the overview today, I'm going to be going over bone broth nutrition. Then I'm going to be going into how to cook bone broth, and I'll be showing you 3 different ways: a slow cooker, a pressure cooker, and the stovetop, and 3 different kinds: chicken, beef, and vegetables. So this is going to be super thorough. But as we know, research is always changing, so I promise whenever I hear a current update about bone broth, I will post it on my Instagram or my Facebook page. So feel free to follow me on both those platforms. So let's get started. So a definition of bone broth is an extremely nutrient-dense liquid that we consume as humans. And it is for the consumption of health benefits that's made using animal bones simmered over a length of time. And you can also add in extra nutrients. It's seriously like liquid gold. It's not a new thing. It's been around forever. It's how people always used to make soups, especially like your grandmother, your great-grandmother. They wouldn't go out to the store and buy vegetable stock or beef stock or those bouillon cubes. They would simmer the bones from the animal that they cooked. If they made a whole chicken, they would simmer the bones and they would make chicken soup. And that's why they coined it the term drink chicken noodle soup when you're sick, because of all the nutrients from bone broth. The bone broth, not the chicken stock that you buy at the store that's made from salts and additives and artificial flavors. So that is the difference between a stock and a broth. A stock is usually something that you make with bouillon cubes, or you buy at the store, or they have it at restaurants a lot, and it's just really for flavor. And then bone broth is actually simmering bones for its nutrient properties. So let's go over a macronutrient and micronutrient breakdown. So this is approximate, and it depends also on the type that you're drinking, whether it's beef, chicken, turkey, fish, vegetable. Approximate macros for 1 cup of broth is about 75 calories. It's about 1 carb, 4 protein, and 6 grams of fat. So it's very good for keto. It's low in carb. For the micronutrient breakdown, this is where I'm gonna need my notes, guys. But calcium, vitamin A, D, K2, and C, B vitamin 6, B9, which is folate, and B12. For the minerals, we have phosphorus, chromium, silica, zinc, manganese, magnesium, copper, potassium, boron, strontium, and fluoride, plus the essential fatty acids omega-3 and omega-6s. So this is also a very well-rounded source of your vitamins and minerals. Due to the magnesium, the sodium that you add in with your salt, and the potassium, bone broth is extremely hydrating. It's full of electrolytes, which means it's excellent for, that's just my timer, it means it's excellent for athletes. And the amino acid in the bone broth, arginine and glutamine, are great for rapid recovery. Whether you're recovering from an extreme workout or you're even recovering from a surgery, bone broth is going to help you have a speedier recovery. Arginine and glutamine are also anti-inflammatory, and the glutamine in bone broth is going to help your leaky gut symptoms and help you heal your gut. The glutamine actually improves and maintains function of the intestinal wall. So a lot of people suffer from leaky gut syndrome. They don't really know that they are, but it just pretty much means that the gut lining of your intestinal wall has become permeable, so food gets out into your bloodstream. Your body can attack those food particles, and you can have something like an autoimmune disease come out of just having a leaky gut. Bones are made of 35% protein and 65% vitamins and minerals. So that 35% of the protein is in the form of collagen, and gelatin is a protein derived from collagen. So a lot of times you'll hear people say that the bone broth is so good for you because it's full of collagen and gelatin, and this is so very true, and that's another reason why it gels. The more your bone broth gels, the better it is, because the more gelatin it extracted from the bones of the animals. That gelatin is made up of strands of amino acids, and both are found in the connective tissue, ligaments, skin, bones, tissues of animals, and they're extracted in the simmering process. Gelatin builds connective tissue in us as well, so it adds to us having smoother skin, stronger hair and nails, less wrinkles, less cellulite. This is why it's coined as a beauty food as well. less cellulite. I'm into that, right? Due to the vitamin, mineral, and antioxidant properties, bone broth is excellent in fighting colds and flus. And it's actually extremely beneficial in inflammation and autoimmune diseases like thyroid disorders, adrenal fatigue, osteoarthritis, leaky gut, like I said, and fatty liver disease. So one of the most fascinating things about bone broth, in my opinion, is glycine. So glycine is a key amino acid used to form the collagen and the gelatin. And glycine stimulates the production of stomach acid. So this is actually really beneficial for people who suffer from something like acid reflux disease, IBS, FODMAP intolerances, because actually we think that we have acid reflux disease because of a lack of acid in our stomach. I mean, because we have too much acid in our stomachs, that's why we take antacids, but it's actually because we have a lack of stomach acid. So a trick I like to use is to swallow some lemon juice if we're having heartburn, and your heartburn will actually go away. So also drinking bone broth regularly will help the production of your stomach acid, clearing up your acid reflux disease. Glycine is also a crucial component of bile acid production, which is going to help in digestion of fat. So that's going to help you maintain healthy cholesterol levels. So that's how bone broth can help you maintain healthy cholesterol levels and lower cholesterol if it's too high. Glycine aids in detoxification, okay? I know for one, glycine binds with aluminum and helps pull it out of your body. So that's super fascinating. Glycine is necessary for the synthesis of glutathione and uric acid, which is the body's most important endogenous antioxidant. Endogenous antioxidant means your body produces it internally, which is so much better than taking an external, say, vitamin C supplement. An endogenous antioxidant is going to be so much more potent. Lysine helps clear excess methionine, which is an amino acid that's found if you eat too much eggs and muscle meat. Think paleo, bodybuilder, keto. So methionine is an essential amino acid, but too much of it can raise blood levels of another amino acid called homocysteine. And when we have too much homocysteine, our body uses all of our vitamin B to help lower that down. So if we have too much homocysteine in our body, we can be in danger of a vitamin B deficiency. So glycine in bone broth can help us reverse the negative effects of eating too much meats and eggs as well. And this is why, in my opinion, why they coin bone broth as a superfood for keto is, I believe, because if you're normally with a ketogenic diet, it's extremely low carb, high fat, high protein. You're eating a lot of eggs, a lot of muscle meat. So you're gonna have maybe chances of a buildup of homocysteine, chances of a buildup of a vitamin B deficiency, which is kind of crazy to think. Glycine is also an inhibitory neurotransmitter, so it's going to be great for relaxation and a good night's sleep. So it's awesome to have bone broth right before bed, and even if you don't, it will just help you be calm and cool throughout the day. Joint health. Bone broth is also coined extraordinary for joint health. For one, the collagen and the gelatin extracted from the bones of the animals helps lubricate our joints and our bones. There is a family of carbohydrates found in bones and connective tissue called glycosamine oligocans, or GAGs. Say that 5 times. Like I said, it's a family of carbohydrates found in connective tissues, and this family of GAGs has things in it like hyaluronic acid, which is effective in treatment of osteoarthritis. Also, chondroitin sulfate with glucosamine in bone broth from the GAGs helps reduce pain and damage of arthritis. So bone broth is amazing for people who suffer from joint pain, arthritis, fibromyalgia. Marrow. Bone marrow, if you get beef bones, like big stocky beef bones, there'll be marrow in those bones. This is a sacred food for fertility, coined by Weston A. Price. It's a significant source of a hormone called adiponectin. Adiponectin, probably even saying that wrong. Maintains insulin sensitivity, it helps break down fat, and it lowers your risk of cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and obesity-related cancers, okay? One thing I wanted to talk to you about is the importance of buying grass-fed bones and using organic bones from organic poultry sources. and even if you're using vegetables, to use organic vegetables, because if those vegetables are not organic, chances are they're sprayed with pesticides. A super common pesticide is Roundup by Monsanto, and the main ingredient of that is glyphosate. Glyphosate binds with glycine, and so everything I just told you that of glycine was amazing for is ruined by the glyphosate, one of which being pulling aluminum out of the body, which our body normally does. The glyphosate stunts that, okay? So we can have an excess buildup of heavy metals in our body because of that. And the cows themselves don't get sprayed with glyphosate, but the feed that they're eating, if they're not grass-fed or organic, is gonna contain glyphosate, and it gets into their bodies, it gets into their bones, and it gets leached out into our water. So that's why it's so into the bone broth. That's why it's so important that we focus on organic, sustainable, pasture-raised animals and vegetables. Okay. So we're just gonna get into it now. I'm sorry, I needed very detailed notes because we have a lot going on here today. All right, so what I'm gonna start with is we're gonna start cooking now. So hopefully you guys feel like you have a ton of reasons why you should drink bone broth, whether it is for your beautiful hair, your gut lining, your recovery from workouts, your joint health, to relax. There's so many reasons why you could be drinking bone broth. So what I did is I bought a whole chicken, an organic chicken from the grocery store, and this is my favorite way to do it because you get multiple uses out of it. So I made a chicken last night, and yay, we had chicken last night for dinner. I have a huge container of chicken in the fridge. I had salad with organic chicken breasts for lunch. I'm gonna have soup tonight because I'm gonna have so much bone broth from this live event. Then I'm gonna make chicken noodle soup tonight. Chicken zoodle soup. I made a chicken last night. I took all the bones off the carcass, and what I like to do first is roast the bones. So I have a sheet pan in the oven right now at 425 degrees, and I usually roast my bones for about 25 minutes. Roasting your bones is optional, but it will give your bone broth a nice smoky flavor. You can also put them in raw, it's completely fine. I find that if I roast my bones first, the broth is also like a deeper color, and it tastes better. Yep. So I'm gonna go in the oven and I'm gonna get the bones out, and we're gonna make a chicken bone broth first in the Instant Pot, okay? We're gonna start with the Instant Pot. So this is my pan of bones, and they're nice and cooked and crispy. And we're just gonna put all of the bones into the pressure cooker. So like I said, this is the pressure cooker one. If you don't have a pressure cooker, just wait a second, and next up I'll be on the slow cooker. This is this is all the bones and the stuff that's like inside of they stuff it in the chicken, even if it's like gizzards and stuff. This is all the stuff from a whole chicken, plus a couple of chicken wings that I saved from like a dinner like a couple nights ago or last week. And as you can see, there's everything on this. There's like skin pieces, there's bones. They don't need to be clean bones at all. They can be totally meaty. That will actually make the broth like so much more tasty. Next up is water. So I pre-poured the water because I didn't want to run out on you guys. Now I'm going to fill it up to the notch right below max. All right, so we have water, we have bones, and now I'm going to talk about some immune boosting ingredients we can add into our bone broth water. So we always want to add apple cider vinegar. This is just a brand from Vermont. It's organic. That's going to help extract all the nutrients and minerals from the bone broth. So we're going to add 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. Kombu. Kombu, you can get this at any grocery store, usually in the I think it's the Asian section because it is like seaweed for sushi. It's great for adding iodine, and it's needed for estrogen detox, breast health, and brain health, but be careful if you have Hashimoto's TPO antibodies. Don't use too much of this. But I'm gonna just put a nice little piece in there. And iodine is also, kombu and other seaweeds are also great if you're on a low salt diet because it adds a tiny bit of saltiness to your meals with all the extra benefits of an iodine. So see this small little piece? Just gonna put it in there. Bay leaves, antibacterial and antifungal. Black peppercorns are anti-carcinogenic. Little eyeball, like half a teaspoon. And then 2 tablespoons of Celtic sea salt. I personally like Celtic sea salt because this is known to have all 82 vitamins and minerals in it. It's not stripped. of its natural minerals, like a lot of table salts are. This stuff is all natural, unrefined. You want to make sure you look for unrefined salt. Pink Himalayan salt is great. Celtic sea salt is a gray option. It tastes delicious and it's actually good for you. So I'm gonna put 2 tablespoons of salt in my broth, and that means I don't need to salt it later. If I make like a soup, I don't need to salt my soup because my broth is already salted. Some people skip this step, but I like to salt my broth so that I can, it's tastier, I think. Also, if you wanted to, you could add reishi mushroom, which is used in traditional Chinese medicine to boost immunity. It's also given to, in traditional Chinese medicine, it's given to cancer patients after chemo. And another awesome adaptogen you could add to your bone broth is astragalus, which is also used in traditional Chinese medicine as an immune booster. I don't have those because I couldn't find them in like their raw state. They're usually dried, like at a health food store. For the slow cooker, we're gonna close it. We're gonna make sure this is on closed, not venting, and we're gonna start it manual, high pressure, and I'm gonna have it at 180 minutes. You can have a great bone broth in an hour to 2 hours, but I say the longer you can go, the better with the Instant Pot, because even though it's only 3 hours compared to the 24-hour one I'm gonna do next, that one will still be just as gelatinous as the beef broth. So we're all done with this, with the pressure cooker. Hopefully you guys got everything I said. Manual, high pressure, 3 hours. Now I'm gonna show you what you do when you're done, but I'm gonna show you it on a beef bone broth. So next up is the slow cooker. So I have been cooking this since last night. No, yesterday at 2 p.m. I put this bad boy in. Woo! How to make beef broth in a slow cooker. Put a slow cooker down, add your beef bones. I like to roast them first, 425 for 25 minutes. Add your beef bones, cover it with water, add all the ingredients we just talked about. 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar to extract minerals, 2 tablespoons of salt, black peppercorns, 2 bay leaves, and a piece of kombu. Now that it's all done, I've unplugged it like 10 minutes ago. Now I'm going to slotted spoon take out all of the bones. I prefer to use all glass, but this one that I have here has like an easier pour spout. It's like pointier than this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this. What you're gonna want is a container to pour, a strainer, and a slotted spoon. And you're gonna wanna have your containers ready to go. And all I'm gonna do is take out each bone one by one and put it on the strainer so all the bone broth runs down, so you don't miss any bone broth. So I bought these bones at my local health food store. They keep them in the freezer, and that's usually how I get my bones. I just collect them as we go. When we have a dish, we buy bone in and we save the bones in the freezer, or I'll go to my local health food store and I'll buy some bones. And with beef bones, actually, they're so hard that you can make 2 bone broths out of 1 batch of bones. With chicken bones and fish bones and turkey bones, they're very, very soft. So 1 round, they're kind of like disintegrating and they're done. Not with beef bones. I could probably make 3 beef broths with these bones. You can hear they're still super loud. You kind of want to cook your bones until they fall apart. I do think I'm gonna save these bones and make another one. All right, so most of the big bones are out. So for the extraction process, we're gonna pour the bone broth into the strainer to get all of the things like the bay leaves, any small pieces of meat, all the peppercorns, so those don't go in our broth. It'd be funny if like something crazy happened right now, because I'm live. All right, so it's strained most of the peppercorns and everything out of here. We're gonna open up our glass containers. Always store your hot food in glass so that no plastic leaches. I know I'm talking about plastic, this is plastic. I'm sorry. It just pours so nicely. The other one drips everywhere. Beautiful, beautiful bone broth. So like I said, this was the slow cooker. This was 24 hours for beef. You can totally go 48. Chicken usually is 24 hours. Just gonna pour this up in here. And the amazing thing about beef, I can show you in a second. I'm gonna fill these all the way to the top because I'm gonna use them. But what I like to do, what I'm going to do with the chicken and the veggies, since I'm gonna have so much broth, I'll just fill it up to like the 24-ounce mark, and then I'll freeze them. You don't want to put it all the way to the top because water expands. So I want to freeze these, and I'll have broth for like a long time. So that's with the chicken. I'm going to use the beef probably tonight. So one really cool thing that happens when you make fattier broths like beef broth is all the fat rises to the top. So all the fat has risen to the top. That's the fat. And because you can see the color difference. Usually on your first pour, you're gonna have the most fat, and the beef is gonna be the fattiest. What I like to do is let this cool completely overnight in the fridge. This will all solidify and you can chip it off. This is what it looks like when it's cold and you extract it from the top. This is all the fat I got yesterday just from roasting the beef bones to put into that beef broth. So this is called tallow. Beef fat is called tallow. And I'm gonna cook with this. You can cook with it all week. It has a nice distinctive taste. Chicken fat is called schmaltz. It's fun to say, and it's really healthy for you because again, the fat latches on to fat soluble vitamins. So it's like a multivitamin in your fat. It's pretty crazy. Okay, that was how to do a slow cooker beef broth. If your slow cooker comes off detached like mine, my awesome one, I bring it to a boil first. And then I put it right on the platform at the highest level. So this is from Kitchen Craft. Like I bought it a really long time ago at like the Boston Health Expo. It's a Kitchen Craft model. If you have one of just the regular ones, keep it on low for 24 to 48 hours. Let's move on to the vegetable broth. So veggie broth is super cool because veggie broth is sort of like reusing and recycling and reducing your waste. If you don't want to compost, you can save all of your vegetable scraps this way. So every single time I cut an onion, I cut celery, cut carrots, leeks, this is where I put the extra pieces. So this is a great way to not feel bad about the fact that you can't compost because you can just save your scraps. This is where you're going to want to use a big stock pot. And it's very simple. Very simple. You just open it up and you pour it in. That looks so beautiful. Sometimes people do add veggies to their broths. That's totally fine too. It gives it a good flavor. I would be cautious though and only put it in for the last 2 hours because sometimes it can get bitter. So we got our veggies and now I'm gonna add water. Can I just say that this is actually the first time I've ever used this stock pot? We're gonna set this on high, let it come to a boil, and then we're gonna simmer it for, I'm gonna do 6 hours. And I'm gonna do it exactly the same as I did every single other one. I'm gonna add salt, peppercorns, bay leaves, a little piece of kombu, and apple cider vinegar to extract the nutrients from these vegetables. And then I'm going to cover it, because if we don't, it's gonna all evaporate into the atmosphere. We don't want that. We're gonna let this come to a boil, and then we're gonna reduce the heat, and we're gonna let it simmer for about 6 hours. If you did want to take the chance, I know a lot of people who have made their bone broths on the stovetop. That's totally fine too. If you did want to do that, I would say about 8 to 12 hours for chicken and 12 hours minimum for beef. I mean, just because the beef bones are so big, to really get that extraction process, you're gonna want that amount of time. 8 hours minimum, okay, let's just say for both. But then again, reuse those chicken bones, reuse those beef bones if they're not brittle and falling apart. So I hope that I was very thorough and that you feel as though you know exactly how to make a beef, a chicken, and a veggie broth in either the crock pot, the Instant Pot, or the stove top. I don't think I really went over a veggie broth in a slow cooker. If you want a veggie broth in a slow cooker, I would do it on low for 8 hours. And if you want a veggie broth in the Instant Pot, I would do it on manual high pressure for like an hour. How do you use bone broth? Huh? I'm gonna have all this beautiful nutrient-dense liquid around me. What am I gonna do with it? Well, first of all, if you are recovering from a surgery, if you are an endurance athlete or an athlete of any kind, if you have osteoarthritis, leaky gut, low immune system, autoimmune diseases, I would say 2 mugs a day would be awesome. I like to drink about a mug a day if I have it available. I also love to make soups with it and have soup for dinner like every night for like 3 days. That's awesome. Some people have even done bone broth fasts before to lose some weight and to really get like a clean slate on their digestive system. I know that bone broth is in phase 1 of like the GAPS diet, things that are very, very good for the digestion and easy to digest. So you can drink it straight up. You can make a latte with it in the blender by doing hot bone broth and some turmeric and some ginger. Whew, superfood heaven, okay? Also, I'm going to try to make my own Bonafide Provisions drinkable vegetables with this batch because I have so much. And what that pretty much means is using the bone broth with vegetables in the blender to make like a smoothie, but it's a savory smoothie. It's drinkable vegetables. I can't wait to try it. I'll let you know how it goes. You can find that on my feed at some point next week. You can make soups with it, obviously. Cook your rice with bone broth. If you have bone broth laying around, instead of using water with your rice, use bone broth. It will make it more tastier and it will add that rice and puff it up with nutrients and vitamins. You can make ice cubes with your bone broth, so you can just throw that into a dish, like a sauce or something if you need a little bit of bone broth. And also, I like to saute my vegetables with bone broth. Pour a little bit in a hot pan with some kale, and we'll steam that kale, and you'll have nice braised kale. Storage tips. Like you saw before, I always have, that's why I have so many mason jars, is because I need to have enough mason jars for the amount of broth that I make all at once. So I keep it in glass. Mason jars are the best. If you want, you can put it in ice cube trays as well and freeze them. If you want to freeze your mason jars because you're not going to be using the broth within, I'd say, 2 weeks, you just fill it up and leave about a ½ inch at the top for the water expansion. Otherwise, keep your bone broth in the fridge for 2 weeks and in the freezer for 6 months. 6 months. I'm just doing that because I have bone broth that's like over a year old in there. The freezer, man, it works really good. It's science. So that is all. It didn't take an hour, but that's okay. I would love to hear what else you want me to get nerdy about. If you watch this whole thing, I love you. Thank you so much. These are super fun, and I'd love to do one a month. So whatever you want me to cover, please give me ideas below. What do you want me to talk about? And what questions do you have after watching this video? I will answer them. And I really, really want to thank everyone who popped on here, even if you just popped on and left. If you want to find more of me, you can find me on my website at healthyafaye.com. You can find me on Instagram at healthyamandafaye, and I'm right here on Facebook at healthyafaye. Please leave me a comment, and I love you guys, and I'll check you guys soon. Bye.